And I got a good man. Yeah, talk to me. Talk to me. You still broke. You still broke. It's just miserable and sad. That's all they doing. That's you wish you can be in place. You doing all that. You doing all that. Yes, my life is very peaceful. Who is this who said that? Kel. Yes, my life is very, very, very peaceful. I live in a 7-bedroom house. I got a pool in the back with a basketball court. I got a gym in the basement. I got millions of dollars. I can buy what I want. Yeah. All that. And I'm happy as fuck. And I got a good man. Yeah, talk to me. There you go. It's nothing that, just how y'all can write words and y'all can make posts in capitals and y'all can blaze and y'all can post old pictures.
I usually do not support the idea of embarrassing someone by bringing up their past, especially when that past includes financial struggles. Everyone begins life at a different starting point. Some people grow up with comfort and security, while others grow up learning how to survive with very little. Neither path defines a person's worth. In fact, many of the most determined and successful individuals come from modest beginnings. Those early experiences often teach discipline, patience, and resilience, qualities that cannot be bought and cannot be learned overnight. Because of that, the real issue has never been about where someone started. The real conversation begins when success finally arrives and how a person chooses to carry themselves afterward. Over time, people tend to watch how someone behaves once their situation improves. Success can change opportunities, but it also reveals character. Some individuals remain humble, remembering what it felt like to struggle. Others begin to measure themselves against the people around them, sometimes using wealth or status as a way to show superiority. That shift is what often creates tension. When success becomes less about achievement and more about comparison, people begin to notice. It is not the money itself that causes discomfort. It is the tone that sometimes accompanies it. Recently, many observers have expressed discomfort with the way conversations about wealth have been handled. Instead of quietly enjoying progress and celebrating accomplishments, the messaging sometimes sounds like a constant reminder that others are behind. Even when that is not the intention, repeated statements about doing better can come across as dismissive. For people who are still working hard to reach their goals, those remarks can feel less like inspiration and more like judgment. Ironically, the same kind of comments would likely have been considered unfair years ago when circumstances were different. That contrast
next year. We already have it planned out. I'm gonna have a baby next year. And then after I go through my stuff, then I'll come back and fight some more, and then probably have another one and then do the same thing again. Like, I don't want to wait till I'm 40, 43, whatever, after my career to have my kids. Right. I want to be able to run at the park with my kids and stuff like that. I don't want to be too old. So I think that keeping my body in shape, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I think that'll also help me too while I'm going through this whole body and life changing stuff.
Is one of the reasons the discussion continues to grow. Another layer to the situation is the memory people have of earlier struggles. When audiences know that someone's family experienced financial hardship not long ago, they expect empathy rather than superiority. They expect someone who understands what it feels like to be overlooked or underestimated. So when the tone begins to shift toward boasting, it feels surprising, sometimes even disappointing. It is not because people resent success. It is because they hope that success would bring a stronger message of encouragement rather than comparison. This is where the idea of double standards enters the conversation. Supporters often ask the public to show patience, understanding, and compassion. They remind everyone that growth is a process and that people are still learning. That message is reasonable. However, when the same level of kindness is not extended to others who are still building their lives, people begin to notice the imbalance. Compassion feels meaningful when it is shared equally.
I definitely think she is in competition with Remy. I mean, if he's your man, you shouldn't be in competition, but I mean, he's your man, but he's her husband. They haven't got a divorce for a reason.
Is the competition the baby?
No.
How else can Remy compete? I think all of it
is. I think all of it. I think that's why she's saying, I'm going to have a baby next year, and keep saying it because she's jealous of the baby.
When it only flows in one direction, it starts to feel less genuine. Over time, even loyal fans begin to question whether the values being spoken about truly match the behavior being displayed. Another reason people continue discussing the situation is repetition. None of these moments on their own would likely create major controversy. A single comment, a single post, or a single comparison rarely changes public opinion. But when similar patterns appear again and again, they begin to form a larger picture. Small moments accumulate. Observers connect those moments together and begin to interpret them as intentional behavior rather than coincidence. Once that perception forms, it becomes difficult to shift, even if the person involved later changes their approach. The involvement of other public figures has also added another layer to the conversation. When two personalities are often mentioned together, comparisons naturally follow, even if neither person openly asks for them. One individual may choose to respond publicly, while the other may remain quiet. Silence is
I don't know if it's mayonnaise, but it's good.
For Peyton NFL Man of the Year presented by Nationwide. It is Wagner. What an incredible honor this is. It's not about the stats, it's not about what happens on the field. It's about Walter's legacy and fulfilling that legacy.
Can't copy that. That's
Walter's legacy.
in many cases sends its own message. When someone refuses to engage in arguments or public disputes, audiences often interpret that as confidence. They see restraint as maturity, especially in an environment where online reactions happen instantly. This contrast in communication styles is one of the reasons the discussion has grown louder. One side appears more vocal, frequently addressing situations, clarifying rumors, or sharing personal updates. The other side appears more reserved, speaking less and allowing actions to represent them. Neither method is automatically right or wrong, but the public often reacts differently to each. When people see someone staying calm while controversy builds around them, they sometimes begin to project strength and stability onto that person. Meanwhile, frequent explanations can unintentionally create the impression of defensiveness, even when the goal is simply transparency.
NFL Man of the Year presented by Nationwide. It is Wagner. What an incredible honor this is. It's not about the stats, it's not about what happens on the field. It's about Walter's legacy and fulfilling that legacy.
Can't copy that. That's awesome.
Another topic that continues to appear in conversations is the role of privacy in relationships. Some individuals are comfortable sharing their personal lives online, while others prefer to keep those details hidden. When two partners have different comfort levels regarding public exposure, tension can naturally develop. It does not mean the relationship is weak. It simply means boundaries must be negotiated carefully. However, when one partner repeatedly expresses discomfort with attention while the other continues to share more details publicly, observers begin to speculate about how sustainable that dynamic might be. Speculation grows even faster when audiences notice changes in behavior. If someone who once appeared frequently on camera suddenly avoids appearances, stops participating in shared content, or begins requesting privacy more strongly, people begin to form their own conclusions. Sometimes those conclusions are accurate, and sometimes they are not. But the internet rarely waits for confirmation before forming opinions. Patterns become stories, and stories spread quickly, whether they are complete or not. At the same time, the constant sharing of daily life can unintentionally create pressure. When every milestone, every celebration, and every disagreement becomes part of
Can't copy that. That's awesome.
Walter's legacy and fulfilling that legacy.
Can't copy that. That's awesome.
public content, the relationship itself begins to feel like a performance. The more an audience watches, the more expectations grow. Supporters begin to look for proof that everything is stable, while critics search for signs of trouble. Over time, this level of visibility can become exhausting for anyone involved. Relationships often thrive best when they have space to exist privately, away from constant commentary. Another aspect that people frequently mention is the difference between building a personal identity and appearing to follow someone else's path. When audiences notice similarities in style, timing, announcements, or messaging, they begin to wonder whether those similarities are intentional. Inspiration is natural. Everyone learns from others, but when the parallels appear too consistent, viewers sometimes interpret them as imitation rather than admiration. That perception can overshadow a person's own achievements, even if those achievements are significant on their own. True confidence often becomes visible when someone focuses on creating their own lane, rather than reacting to someone else's timeline. People who appear comfortable with their own identity rarely need to prove themselves through comparison. Their progress speaks for itself, and their audience recognizes that authenticity. On the other hand, when someone seems constantly engaged in subtle competition, the focus shifts away from their accomplishments and toward the rivalry itself. That shift rarely benefits anyone in the long run. Public attention also has a predictable cycle. At first, excitement surrounds new success stories. Audiences celebrate growth, follow updates, and cheer for milestones. But over time, the same audience begins to look for depth. They want to see how success is being used, whether it inspires others, creates opportunities, or supports meaningful projects. When the conversation remains centered on personal comparisons rather than broader impact, enthusiasm slowly fades. People start to look elsewhere for stories that feel more uplifting or original. Another reason older audiences often react differently is experience. People who have watched multiple public figures rise and fall recognize familiar patterns. They have seen how overexposure can create backlash, how constant online engagement can lead to unnecessary controversy, and how quickly public support can shift. Because of that, their commentary is often less emotional and more observational. They are not always expressing dislike. Sometimes they are simply recognizing a cycle they have seen before. It is also important to remember that social media amplifies everything. A comment that might have gone unnoticed years ago now spreads instantly across platforms. A small disagreement can turn into a trending topic within hours. Because of this speed, maintaining consistency in tone becomes more important than ever. Audiences notice contradictions quickly, and screenshots ensure that earlier statements remain visible long after they were made. In this environment, authenticity becomes one of the most valuable assets a public figure can maintain. Another factor shaping the current conversation is the idea of legacy. Temporary attention can be loud, but long-term reputation is built slowly. People may remember dramatic moments for a short time, yet what lasts is the overall pattern of behavior, where accomplishments highlighted more than